Hey, good evening, members of council, staff. Welcome to this special electronic meeting of council on Wednesday, April 29th. And just to welcome everyone. We will start with the call to order and the declaration of pecuniary interest. If anyone so has, so declare or do so at the appropriate time. We will move on to the approval of the agenda, and I would need a mover and a seconder, please. Don't all come in at once.
So moved.
I'll second it, Your Worship.
Okay,
So is Councillor Cummings first?
okay, and Councillor LaRose?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so we have special council agenda, April 29, 2020, that the agenda of the special council meeting of 29/2020 be approved as presented. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Cummings.
Approved.
Councillor Clute.
In favor?
Councillor LaRose.
In favor?
Councillor Levy.
In favor?
Councillor Mayat.
In favor.
Councillor Sanama.
In favor?
Councillor Vatabancourt.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Dubois.
In favor?
And Mayor LaRue.
In favor. So that would move us on to number 4, administration matters. 1, the COVID-19 organizational continuity plan for May 2020, CAO 2020-02. Be it resolved that CAO report 2020-02 be received by council for information purposes. A mover and a seconder, please.
I will move, Doug.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, seconded by
I will second it.
Councillor Vatabancourt. Okay, call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Are we calling for the vote before discussion?
Well, it's going to be received for information only. It's we had discussing the matter in close. So, what do you say?
I understand. I just didn't know if we wanted to give some sort of explanation of the report in the public session. This will be what members of the public potentially could see on YouTube, whether you'd want the CAO to give any description about that, understanding that members of council want to have in-camera discussion as well.
That's fine. Then we will continue, and we'll get the vote after the report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I assume you were passing it over to me to give a quick little synopsis and take any questions.
Yes.
So thank you, Your Worship. In terms of the report, I think it's fairly self-explanatory, I hope, at least. It was a report that, while it shows that I authored it, it was really an all-encompassing report that was put together by all of senior management team. Quite a bit of work went into this, as I hope council can see. Lots of detail in terms of the work plan, as well as we tried to touch on as many other aspects that we thought council would be looking for, not only just from a practicality perspective, but also from the perspective of council's formal request a week ago tonight at our special committee of the whole meeting. The one thing that I will add is that is not included in the report that there was some discussion about earlier, previous to this meeting, was one component with respect to March and April. So the March and April savings, I'm going to say, from the part-time contract and seasonal staffing, whether it be contracts that ended early or contracts that didn't start, or contracts that were rescinded, etc., was approximately $40,000. So that was March and April combined. That number that number was $40,000. So that's what's not included in the report. I think we've covered off the months of May through August and a portion of September in the financial implications section. And of course, that's assuming that, you know, none of those positions start at any point between now and September, which of course, you know, no one can really predict what that looks like. But we did really want to focus on the month of May, given that's what the work plan has been identified for, is simply looking at May with the intent that we will review June in the coming weeks. So as I said, that was just the one piece that came to mind that was raised earlier this afternoon that I wanted to add. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to take any questions or comments, but we tried to kind of give an all-encompassing picture as best as we could with respect to the ask and certainly the path that we were heading down at a staff level over the last week and a half.
Okay, thank you, Mr. CAO. Do any members of council have questions? I'm hearing none, so therefore we will move on.
Yeah. Sorry, Worship, if I may, just so that we're clear. So the savings in March and April were $40,000, and what's proposed in the report is savings of approximately $36,000. So that would bring it to a total of 76. Is that correct?
That would be.
Okay.
So just through you, Your Worship, if I might, that is correct. To Councillor Vadeboincourt, that is correct. And the 36,000 for the month of May, while it might appear as though it's proposed, those positions have not started. And so I think it's safe to say that our plan for May and what we've operationalized will actually see those savings as opposed to just proposing them to council this evening. So that number is 40 for March and April, and 36 for the month of May, for a total of 76,000.
Okay, further questions?
Just if I may, Your Worship, again, just in terms of payroll, how does this relate to our payroll, excluding benefits? Like, what is our payroll, and then this savings as a percentage of payroll, what does that work out to be? And just so members of council are aware, when we met a section this afternoon, we had some of this conversation earlier, so it was just asking for the benefit of all members of council.
Mr. CAO?
Through Your Worship, to Councillor
We're not getting
$6,000 for the.
Jeff, we're not hearing you.
Sorry, Your Worship, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll start over again. My apologies. So if I look at the month of May, which is savings of approximately $36,000, the total payroll for the month of May for full-time as well as part-time staff, excluding benefits, is $250,000. And so, you know, roughly that's a 15% proportion, I guess you could say. And so that number of full-time as well as part-time excludes all of our rate and revenue supported positions. So it's an apples to apples that I referred to, which is $36,000 and referenced in the report is strictly taxation funded positions, is a proportion of the $250,000 taxation supported full-time and part-time staff.
Thank you. And that works out to, what was the percentage again? That works out just for the month of May?
Through you, Your Worship, I think it's 14% is the number.
Thank you.
Okay,
Your worship, I have a question.
yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to verify the number of staff we have working at the moment. That's sitting at 48. Is that correct?
Through you, Your Worship, that is correct. We have 48 full-time employees that are currently functioning, working, and contributing to the organization. All non-full-time, meaning part-time, seasonal, and contract, have either had their contracts ended, rescinded, not started, etc. Between late March and early April.
Just clarification, if I may. Just a few moments ago, you made comment about part-time. What? Not the ones that I know that we have. You mentioned that there are part-time people working or permanent part-time working. I was just confused at that.
Through you.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff. We lost you, Jeff.
Through you, Your Worship.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Are you
go ahead.
there, Your Worship?
Yeah, go ahead.
Through you, Your Worship, the number of part-time, seasonal, and contract employees is 49. But of those 49 positions that essentially are not currently employed by the town of Penetanguishene, 18 of them are taxation supported. The other 31 are revenue or rate supported, and as such have not been included in our savings number because essentially they are self-sustainable through either the water department or the wharf or recreation programming, etc. I hope that answers the question. I apologize if I'm cutting in and out.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, further questions? Okay, there
Yes,
being none,
Your Worship.
hello? Yes,
Yes, Mike. Just a question here. In that formula that you come out with, are the wharf master and the employees we have there, are they in that formula?
Through you, Your Worship, the wharf master would be included in the revenue and rate supported positions. So the wharf master is not included in the $36,000 savings because essentially his position as well as the other seasonal positions down at the wharf are rate and revenue supported through the wharf operations.
okay. You're good with that, Mr. Councilor Mayat?
I guess so.
Okay, so if there be no further questions,
Worship,
we have a mover. Hello?
Yes, it's George.
Yeah, George.
Thanks to Your Worship. I think I have further questions, but I think they're probably more appropriate in camera. So perhaps we can go in closed session and ask those questions and then maybe come out of closed session and deal with the motion, if you don't mind.
That is the plan, and that's what's going to happen. Thank you. So if we could have the roll call, we've had a mover and a seconder, Madam Clerk, that it be received for information at this point in time.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think what Councillor Vadeboncor is suggesting is that we don't receive this report for information until some of the answers are that are potentially in camera to help clarify that it be received for information only. I believe that was Councillor Vadeboncor's suggestion.
Okay, then we will just do that. We will move into in camera. So we go to item 5, in camera items. To convene in closed session that in accordance with the Town of Penetanguishene Procedural Bylaw 2019-25, the Council of the Town of Penetanguishene move into an in-camera session to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Item 5, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality or local board, including matters before administrative tribunals. Items 2, 3, and 4. Main Street Reconstruction Settlement Meeting Verbal Update. Philip H. Jones PCP Grit Removal System Verbal Update. Building Department Legal Claim Verbal Update. And COVID-19 Organizational Continuity Plan for May 2020 discussion if required. So if we could have a mover and a seconder to go in camera.
I'll move that, Your Worship.
Who is that?
Brian?
Brian, Councillor Cummings, and seconded by Councillor Vadevankur. Okay, Madam Clerk, you could call the roll, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Cummings.
In favor.
Councillor Klug.
In favor.
Councillor LaRose.
In favor.
Councillor Levy.
In favor.
Councillor Mayat.
In favor?
Councillor Sanama.
In favor.
Councillor Vadevankur.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Dubo.
In favor.
And Mayor LaRue.
In favor. So with that, could I have a motion to arise from closed session and that the Council of the Town of Penetanguishene rise from in-camera session, and will it be with or without report, Madam Clerk?
This would be with report. We do have, at the very least, the motion from the Main Street Reconstruction Settlement Meeting, and then we also have to revisit the motion, previous motion from Administrative Matters related to that first item.
Okay. So could I have a mover and a seconder to arise from closed session with report?
I'll move.
Who was that?
George?
George, thank you.
I'll second.
Councillor Rose? Yeah, okay. So Councillor Vadevankur and Councillor Rose. So we will now move back to reports from in camera being held.
I'll just call for the vote, Your Worship, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
That's all right. Thank you. Councillor Cummings.
In favor.
Councillor Klug.
In favor.
Councillor LaRose.
In favor.
Councillor Levy.
In favor.
Councillor Mayat.
In favor?
Councillor Sanama.
In favor.
Councillor Vadevankur.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Dubo.
In favor.
And Mayor LaRue.
In favor. So now, Madam Clerk, we go to the reports from in-camera meeting held, and we start with the Main Street Reconstruction Settlement Meeting. And so there we, I think, from what I understand, is Council is prepared to move on the settlement of $35,000. So we do need a mover and a seconder.
Well, I can read the motion. I don't think that the motion has been read as yet, so I will read the recommended action, and you can call for a mover and seconder and call for the vote if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So the motion being recommended is that council approve the draft minutes of settlement and to grant the CAO authority to sign the minutes of settlement contingent upon there being no material changes.
Mover and the seconder, please.
I'll move that. It's Jill,
Yeah.
Jill Sanneman,
Yeah.
Councillor
And
Sanneman.
I'll second.
Councillor Sinema. Okay, moved by Councillor Sinema and seconded by Councillor Cummings. And Madam Clerk, if you might call the roll now.
I can absolutely. Councillor Cummings,
In favor?
Councillor Clue,
In favor?
Councillor LaRose,
In favor?
Councillor Levy,
In favor?
Councillor Mayat,
In favor.
Councillor Sanema,
In favor?
Councillor Vadaboncourt,
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Dubois,
In favor?
Mayor LaRue.
In favor. Now, Madam Clerk, do we have to move on all of these other items?
Your Worship, there were no other reports to be received for the other items, I don't believe, not that I could hear in closed session. So I
Yes.
believe we need to go back to that administrative matter.
And that is to get a mover and a seconder to receive it?
That's right.
So could I have a mover and a seconder to receive the report from Administration Matters?
I will move that, Your Worship.
Okay, Mayor and a seconder, Councillor Vadaboncourt?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Oh,
right,
Your Worship.
Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Absolutely. Councillor Cummings,
Your
In
Worship.
favor? Oh, hang on, somebody's calling.
Councillor Vadaboncourt, you had something that you want to do?
Yeah, I did. The motion has been read. I just wanted to make a comment with respect to the information in the report and discussion. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the work that's been done by staff to get us to this point. In the report, it outlines so far the number of staff that have been laid off or on leave or having contracts not renewed, and I believe that number is 49, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Seasonal staff. And so we're left with 48 staff, 3 of which are on contract filling existing positions.
That's correct.
One of the things about Penetanguishene, and I think we have to look at every municipality individually, but Penetanguishene, it's got a great staff, but they don't have a lot of depth. So when you're down to the bare bones, you don't have a lot of opportunity really to cut other than you're starting to cut staff. And a lot of those staff are associated with the delivery of a service. So you cut that staff, you no longer have that service. So I recognize the challenges that our CAO and our senior team have been faced with, and I commend them for their efforts in bringing this report forward. I think we're going to have to sit around this table again, Your Worship, probably in a couple of weeks or so when the Premier announces whether the emergency declaration is going to continue or it's going to end. That announcement will be around May 12th, and then we'll have to probably look at it again because we're into week 7. By then, we'll probably be into week 9. And we may have to be looking at this again. I think all municipalities are in the same boat. However, each municipality is unique in terms of how it has to deal with this. And I'm just saying to conclude that we're going to be at this again probably in another couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. So thank you. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor Vadaboncourt. And with all of that, I can attest to the fact that we, the team, and I'm including council and staff, and particularly staff, and can tell you that with the emergency committee that had been put in place and doing the job that they are doing. They are to be commended on the job that they are doing, and our CAO in particular has put a lot of time and effort into this whole thing. And I can assure you that what you're talking about is not only a matter of a week and a half or 2 or 3 weeks from time. This is being monitored on a daily basis. So with that, we will move on. Thank you. Councillor or Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Cummings.
In favor?
Councillor Clue.
In favor?
Councillor LaRose.
In favor?
Councillor Levy.
In favor?
Councillor Mayat.
Favor.
Councillor Sanama.
In favor?
Councillor Vadaboncourt.
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Dubois.
In favor?
And Mayor LaRue.
In favor. So with that, Madam Clerk, we are going to, that is the end of the meeting.
Well,
So-
technically, we have questions from the media and public, of which, of course, we have none.
Yeah,
And then that's it, yes.
so adjournment. Mover and a seconder to adjourn.
So moved.
That was Councillor Cummings, the seconder.
I'll second it. Counselor Sanama?
Councillor Saint-Amand. Okay, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
You don't need one for adjournment, sir.
We don't normally do one for adjournment, but that's okay.
Don't need one for adjournment. We are adjourned, and thank you, council. Thank you, staff.
Thank you.
Have a good night and the rest of a good week.